Hey, welcome everybody to EMS Underground. I am Charles McFall. And hey, it's been a hot minute, right? It's been a minute, but I'm here. I'm here to throw you some discourse and throw you some trouble and see what it is that's been on your mind for the last month. I've got stuff on my mind. Absolutely. I know it's a weird time on the right day, but I've got stuff to do tonight. So I've got travel time included. I got to take care of some things. So we're doing orientation at Georgia Institute of EMS tonight. And so I've got to be there. So you know what? I just wanted it to happen because it hadn't happened in like 4 weeks. So let's go back and talk about that. Douglas has been on with me for a while, and I just needed to get this done today. He might be back in the next couple of weeks. Terrence Ramatar of AMR will be on next week, it looks like, with Tom and I. We're going to sit down, talk about it's been a year. It has been a year since the Cab County was settled and AMR took on the 911 contract, was awarded the 911 contract, however you want to phrase it. It's been about a year. So he's going to come on, talk about how it's a whole different beast now, what they've done in the year to improve things. We're going to get some input and feedback. And you might be going, but Charles, that's like asking the carpenter if he built a good house. So he's going to tell you he built a good house. You're right. But you know what? AMR came to me, and I'm not going to pull up with BS, and we're going to talk about different ideas and things. And actually, Terrence and I had a decent talk today, prepping for all that. So he's just fun. He's a fun guy to talk to, whether you like AMR or not. If you have questions that you think, oh, you need to ask this question, why aren't you asking that question? Tell me. Tell me what that question is. I'm going to find the banner right now. There it is. Boom. Charles at GAIEMS.com. Tell me what questions I need to be asking. Throw it here in chat. I'll copy it and put it on a Word document so I have it for next week. If I'm not asking the questions you want me to ask of somebody, let me know. I still want to get somebody from National EMS to come on and talk about their community program in Athens. Benny and I had discussed that before COVID, and then COVID hit, so it's been a little crazy. I think things are kind of getting to the point where we know we can wash our hands, we know we can put masks on. I know how to do the Zoom thing. I can get them connect in here so we can do remote. But I want to talk to National about their community programs. I want to get Clayton County back on, Clayton County Fire, talk about their recruitment efforts and their community programs. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So last month, Tom and a bunch of us went up to Dobbins Air Force Base and finished up doing some Con Ed for the firefighters there. Changed things up, did some things different. Really went well. Love the guys up at the fire base. Dean, if you're watching, hey, how you doing? Dean is Prestia. Dean Prestia, the sexiest firefighter on Dobbins Air Force Base. He's a cool guy. And I don't think he's watching at all. But if somebody sees this and can get it to him, let them see it or hear it, whichever. Because I have the podcast as well. The podcast is anchor.fm/EMS Underground. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, you know where that is, but it's EMS Underground on YouTube. Actually, it might not be. I think it's Georgia Institute of EMS on YouTube. And Facebook is Georgia Institute of EMS for sure. You can find all that stuff there. But I'm going to leave my email up in case you want to hit me with something there. So you can do that, and I can get back to the chat room and see what's going on over there. So, yeah, we spent. So there's a lot of time. There's a lot of time prepping for Con Ed, especially a real world Con Ed class. When it's a distance away. Now you might say, well, you can drive to Marietta in an hour, which is true, but when you're starting at 8:30 in the morning, do you really want to leave Conyers, Covington area, or wherever we're all coming from, to hopefully all miss traffic and get through in time? No. So we had to travel up the day before, meet together, make sure we're going over the next day and what we wanted, do the classes, go back to the hotel, get some dinner, those kind of things, work on stuff. And that's what we do. That's what we did. So that took up a couple of weeks. And man, I don't remember what happened after that. I know last week I had a big test to go help with up at the school, and then other things going on. We're still beefing up the Con Ed, right? I'm still, getting in there, and Tom's doing some too. But we have some videos that's my purview. That Tom said, "Hey, get these videos done," and I'm trying to get those done for Con Ed because the season's coming. Everybody, you think, "Hey, it's November. We're about to hit the holidays." Yeah, you're right. But you better be planning for your Con Ed season, which really is now. You can start uploading and recertifying now. I mean, you can always upload, right? You can always put your hours up on National Registry, nremt.org. And you can always get up on Georgia, was it mygymsys.org/LMS is what that is. You can get up on there and go ahead and start uploading. But I got the emails the other day that officially, if you have your time in now, you can go ahead and research. That's open now. So the season has begun. But for the rest of us out there who like to put it off, you might start thinking about it in January, which is a little late. February, you're like, oh crap, I got to get this done. And March is, I will not have a job anymore if I don't take care of this. Now, it's not really that cut and dry, right? We know there's some late filings you can do. It's not the end of the world. The state of Georgia doesn't slam the door in your face. But come April 1st, I know April Fool's Day, but that's March 30th, whatever. And March 30th, midnight's the date. If come April 1st, you don't have it renewed, you can't actually work until you get that fixed, right? And there's a process. There's probably a extra fee on top of the everything else. So there's all that. Um, MyMSConEd.com. That's where I've been working for the past 2 or 3 months, getting videos done. I finished up the I think it was September, right before September, going into September. I think I finished up the videos for the advanced class, which is starting next week. If you want to get your AEMT numbers, now's the time. Get ahead, get in. Let's get this done. And we have a class starting next Wednesday night. Tonight we have an EMT class starting. And then that's it for the year until January. Then you can jump in then for a fresh class. So now I'm doing the Con Ed classes, getting that short up because as long as COVID's around, until they say otherwise, you can do everything online. And that is so huge right now. And that's what I'm telling you. Get your stuff done because when National Registry says, okay, it's done, it's over, now you have to do your 20 hours, 25 hours, and 30 hours, respectively. I think it's 24, 25 for A and 30 for paramedic of national level component, right? You have to do that in person again, then that's what you have to do. But right now, mymsconed.com, you go, you log in, and you can get all your hours done, and it's all gives you great little certificates to download. You just put them up LMS, put them up on registry, and you're done. So yeah, so I've been busy doing that, catching that up. We still have a few more to do for advanced, and then some to do for paramedic. And EMT is all set. If you're an EMT right now, you're all set. Get in there, do your hours, knock it out, be done. So I've got some things that have been on my mind about career. My career's been weird, right? My career has been odd to say the least. I think I'm one of the few people in this industry who fell into it. I've told the story, but I'll tell it again because I know there's not a lot of new people watching the show now and listening on the podcast. But I was at a college, a university in South Carolina, and working public safety, basically meaning I was a security guard for campus. And I saw a buddy of mine who's also in public safety there on campus with me get out of the back of an ambulance. And everything said, oh, he belonged there. The guys were saying, thank you, this and that and the other. I was like, what are you doing? Because the ambulance is on campus, it's all lit up, attraction. I'm like, huh, drama. And then I see him get out. I was like, what's good? So I asked him, like, what are you doing, man? That looked kind of cool. And he told me, he's like, hey, yeah, I went and got my EMT numbers here in South Carolina because it's a great side job for the weekends while we're doing school, keeping the bills up, this and that. School there was Monday through Friday. They didn't have Saturday or Sunday classes at the university I was going to. And so, because I could work Saturdays, possibly Sundays. It was a Christian school, so you had whatever, you had to have permissions. But basically, he could work Saturdays and have a good day job. It's called PRN. We all know this now, right? It's PRN. So on and so forth. I'm like, huh, that's really interesting. And ultimately went home from that university, decided I wasn't going to pursue that line of education anymore. And went, you know what? This EMT thing seems kind of nifty. Let me look into it. Let's see what it costs, how long it takes to do it. My parents at the time, I think I was 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. And my parents said, as long as you're pursuing something, then we'll help you. You can live here. They still charge me rent, but there's a little bit of rent, not a lot of rent. But you could live here, but you have to be progressing to something. You have to be working on your education or getting a good job and so on and so forth. And I had to work and go to school. I couldn't just go to school. So let me see how much it costs. And just so happens in 1996 is when I went to EMT school. That Hope Scholarship was fairly new. Georgia Lottery is fairly new. And I was able to pay for my school 100% through the Hope Scholarship to Athens Tech. So it worked out for me. And I got in, it came easy to me. And I'm thinking, this is a great job until I figure out what I want to do, until I get where I want to go. And that's what I always thought. And here I am 23 some odd years later. And because I graduated in 97, right? Spring of 97, I got my numbers. and became an EMTI. And here I am. I've been a paramedic. I've been an advanced. I've been an instructor. I've been a captain, supervisor, all kind of things, right? But I never got into this field going, I want to be on it. Although most of us do, right? Most of us get into this field because we want to do it. And that's something I want to talk about. Two things I want to talk about. I want to ask the question: if people are quitting their jobs, where are they going? Right? We already have a shortage of advanced and paramedics. And I mean, we've had a shortage for a very long time. Now, when I got into the field in the late 90s, it was you had to be a paramedic for 2 years if you wanted to work for Grady. Right now, I think at that time it was starting to kind of topple off, but that was still the reputation. Is people were running double medic trucks, and they companies liked that, and there was not a saturation, but already it was starting to teeter, where medics were still readily available because there was only two levels: intermediate and medic. So if you wanted to do more medicine and get paid more, you went on to the paramedic level. If you're happy with what you're doing, you stay at the intermediate level. That was it. And I'm not saying more levels make more confusion, because it doesn't. I think lowering the requirements to get into the field maybe it would have been a smart thing. I haven't researched it enough to have a really good strong opinion. But my point is the career path, right? That's what you did. So, but it's already teetering to where, well, we're going to run a medic and an EMT, and that's fine, and this and that and other. But if we can get two medics, that's great. We're in a shortage. This is 2020, man. We've been in a shortage for at least a decade of being shorthanded for medics. And I left the active field in 2006 when my daughter was born. I left the ambulance and went to an office job and worked there. And so I was part of the problem, right? But I got burned out. I worked too much. I didn't have good career coaching. I didn't have good life coaching, which I think is when now I'm saying about it. This is all spitballing. This is all spitballing. I'm not promising you any answers. I'm not saying anything that comes out of my mouth will work for everybody across the board. But maybe that's something we can do in our careers and in our companies. And I'm looking at something coming up here where I might be in a position to do something about this. But maybe in our companies, part of the recruitment package is career coaching, not just asses and seats. We've done that too much, and I understand. I do understand. You cannot run a truck if you don't put bodies on it. I get that. Also, get too big for your britches. Where some companies have gotten so spread out that when a tragedy like COVID hit, it started hurting, and lots of companies started struggling. And what I saw from my end of it, being a part-time employee in the field on a non-emergency scheduled transport truck, what I saw was everybody pulled in to their day jobs, their primary jobs, if you will, right? They pulled in. So the externals, the non-emergency jobs that do have some full-time people, but let's be real. In the non-emergency field, it's a good second job a lot of times, depending on what the company is and what they're doing, right? But typically, you're going to run your 911, and then you're going to go over and you're going to work when you can. Not every shift, but maybe tomorrow, 2-3 times a month, you're going to work on this non-emergency truck, and you're going to make some extra money at that, right? There was a day and a time when you can make more money working the non-emergency truck 2 or 3 times a month, than you could work in your day job, right? And it's not that case anymore. The paramedics across the board, on average, it seems like make $18 to $20 an hour on 911 or otherwise. You go back in my day, when I worked for National, their program then, I don't know if they've changed it, but their program then was, here's the base pay and then years of service. So if you're new out of school, which I'd worked at Athens Regional for a few months. I'd worked at man, I don't even know the name of that company I worked for at first. That was this fly-by-night company up at Northside that was just non-emergency. And but I had worked there. They closed. They shuttered their doors, locked the fence, those kind of things. I got the burps, man. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry, but on the podcast, you probably didn't notice anything different, but on the video, yeah, I'm struggling here. Sorry, I'm talking too fast. I drank a little bit of coffee, and that's not a good mix. So, The first company shuttered their doors. I went to Athens Regional PRN. It wasn't a good fit for either one of us, the company or myself. It just didn't work out. Um, I have my own negative views, but I imagine now that I'm older and wiser and I've done high level stuff, I imagine they had their negative views. Could we both have done better? Yeah, we both could have done better. It didn't fit. That is the ultimate line. It didn't fit, and that's okay. So I worked there. So I didn't have a very big, long work record, right? I was working at Taco Bell when somebody I knew said, "Hey, I know this company," because he was a cop and an EMT, and he's like, cop mainly, and then did EMT part time. I was like, "Look, National's hiring all the time, right here next to us in Morgan County, because we're in Athens, right over in Morgan County. Here's a number, call them, this and that and the other." So I did. And so they were doing a base pay and years of service, which I didn't have years of service, right? So I basically got the base pay. Um, and I know a lot of companies do that. And so that's something that's hard to compete with in this field. I talked to a friend of mine, John Race, the other day, and he was talking about what he's getting paid as a medic right now to work a 911 truck. And there's so much overtime available. The number that he basically quoted me that he made working overtime, there's no way. There's no way a second company can compete with that to get you to come in. So what do we do? What do we do to recruit? Because 911 shares employees, right? There were plenty of people who worked Henry County Fire, which did EMS at the time as well, I believe, when I was working in the field. They may be different now, but I'm pretty sure it was Henry County Fire did EMS as well. And DeKalb, back in my day, DeKalb County did fire and EMS together. There was no rural metro or AMR or anything else. DeKalb Fire did it. And they'd work there to DeKalb or, whatever county fire shift working as a paramedic and get off there and come to work at National, either at Conyers or in Madison. And a lot of them worked in Madison because it was a slower station. So it's like, hey, I can make a decent amount of money to run a whole lot less calls, still be important, still be valued, still go. I got this shit kicking call the other day where it's 2 cars and a bus full of nuns and everything caught on fire, whatever. Whatever it takes to say, hey, I did my job and feel good at the end of the day. And they weren't making as much as they were probably making at the fire department. But we share, right? That was still 911. That was still a shared hiring pool, if you will. And I saw what I've seen with COVID when it hit was everybody kind of pulled into just their primary because there was overtime. There was a whole lot of uncertainty. There was quarantining, right? I've known a couple of medics who tested positive, to my knowledge, did not get they didn't actually get COVID, but they got tested or got exposed. This is in the early days, right? Oh, we know this patient you took to the hospital earlier today is COVID positive. So now you get 14 days just because you're exposed, and we just don't know how to handle that, right? Now knowledge moves so fast. It felt so slow, right? Didn't it though? Didn't it just feel so slow day to day? What's the new information? What's coming out? What do we know week to week? How did it change? What have we learned? But then you look back at it. It's November, people. This really started hitting February, right? Or for our society, right? I mean, you could argue it's back in November where it started happening, but a societal global awareness of it to the quoting finger shutdown. That was that was mid February, early March, right? Was it later? Maybe. I don't remember. I don't remember. Do you? Because that's where our brain starts messing with us. And while we went through it, it took so long. But let's say it was mid February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 9 months. Yeah, we could have a COVID baby by now, sure. But it's not even mid November, it's early November as of this recording. So 9 months. It we learned so much in EMS. It went from full gowns, everything. Oh my God, you transported a patient, you go home for 2 weeks and don't come back. To now we can test to see if you're positive. If you're not positive, get back to work. Now some places still have full gowns and masks and everything else. I'm not on those trucks. I don't know, but I do know for a little while the non-emergency ambulance went down to almost nothing, and only a few handful of people handled the dialysis calls because that doesn't stop, right? That doesn't stop. Help still needs to happen, but it shrank down. but now it's expanding back out to where the world understands, okay, EMS world, at least, emergency world, we can kind of get back to life as normal because we're always exposed to things. So yeah, we need the precautions. Yeah, we need the tests. Yeah, we need to be safe. But we know just because we transported a COVID patient doesn't mean we have COVID, right? There's tests now. 9 months, man, that moves so fast. And actually, it was in place. I'm counting from today, but it's been in place long before today, right? August, September, life started getting back for EMS running calls. Life started to get back to normal. But I noticed everybody shrink in. So where's everybody now? I've heard tales from people who work in these companies, and I'm not going to call the companies out because it doesn't help the story and it's not good. Um, I mean, if somebody's doing something wrong, I'm going to call them out. But that's not it. I want you to focus on the question. The question is, where's everybody going? I've heard back to back in one day 2 stories from 2 different companies of, yeah, we had a mass exodus. A whole lot of people left. We're having a really hard time covering the trucks. We're having a really hard time doing XYZ. And I literally said out loud, where did they go? They're not coming to my company that I'm working with. I'm not hearing of the places I'm touching. I'm not hearing of mass hirings of all of a sudden Walton County or Newton County or AMR or whatever is hiring a whole bunch of people all of a sudden. Where'd they go? And if you're just out there biding time trying to find the right job, what are you waiting on? How can we make life better? What's the deal? I know there's probably some older medics, and when I say medics, I mean EMT, AMT, and paramedic, right? There's some older medics out there who probably said, no, it's too much for me. I'm at risk, or I don't want to bring it home to my family. I know medics who don't want to work on the ambulance at all because while they're not quite in that risk level and they understand how to take care of themselves and they're fine to take that risk for themselves, they live with elderly parents who they do not even want a chance. They want to minimize the risk because, yeah, you go to a grocery store, you chance bringing it home. Yes, that is true. You go to a class or you go to teach a class, you chance bringing it home. Yes, that is true. But that if you can minimize your risk, I can't hold it against them. You minimize your risk, you minimize the risk. So that's my question. Where's everybody? Where'd you go? What are you waiting on? Do you know that everybody in this world is hiring? I mean, I went on Indeed to do a thought experiment the other day, and I didn't like it. Didn't like the results. But I went on Indeed and typed in EMS Atlanta. And let's say there's 10 results to a page, like 6 of those were Grady. The next page, 4 of those were Grady. It was like, come on. I mean, we know Grady's hired, and Grady's doing. I'm not calling him out. I'm just saying weird. It's weird phrasing on top. It's not what I would expect, which is paramedic full time, paramedic part time. It's like patient transport operator, and then you get into it. It's like you need to be an EMT or an AMT or whatever the level. It's like, but why would you not say ENT or advanced? I don't know. And maybe the position's different. I didn't do a lot of research. I'm not calling Grady out single handedly, but they're hiring if you care. And somebody, when I asked about the mass exodus, where are they going? Grady? I'm like, maybe. And I've heard rumors. I'm not going to apply to Grady. I'm not going to apply to any 911 service. Let me just tell you now. Unless it becomes Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, where that's my real only option is to get out there and get on the truck like that. I'm not going to do it. I have zero interest in that. So I don't know, but I've heard Grady's having huge sign-on bonuses if you stay there a year, this and that and the other. I've been open and honest about how I view their administrative practices on the top level. So for that reason alone, I couldn't work for them because to me, you don't separate how the top works from the bottom. While you have good employees in the streets, I'm not gonna. I can't. I can't. This is not a Grady show. I'm not gonna harp on Grady. I can't. So there's other people like me are out there. Some people just chase a dollar. And let me give you a piece of advice. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you're only chasing the dollar, you are killing yourself slowly. You're committing suicide over many, many years. Because I've seen too many people, too many friends of mine who make that paramedic mistake of only focusing on how much money am I making right now and that can pay my bills, or I have to have this much to pay my bills. And you're right, you do have to have this much to pay your bills. But are you going to do that the rest of your life? Are you going to plan for retirement at all? Are you going to make a path for yourself to get off the truck? Because as much as you may want to be a career medic, and more power to you, at some point in your life, you're going to get too old for this. You're going to go, this is just not where my heart is anymore. This has killed my knees. This has killed my back. This has killed my health. This has killed my marriage. Whatever. And you're going to go, or let's go with the positive. I mean, honestly, let's be real. The negative is more likely going to happen, right? And I'm going to take my email off. It's bothering me, just sitting there staring me in the face. Um, but if you've got comments, you've got questions, you can hit me, Charles at GIEMS.com, and I will put it back up here in a little bit. But let's be real. Most people don't get off the truck because they're just ready to retire. Most people get off the truck because of some negative effect, an injury. Just, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm burned out. I'm physically hurt, whatever. But if you're that positive person who put your 20 in, and you've been with one, hell, if you've been with one company for 20 years, that's amazing. That's amazing, especially at the medic level, paramedic level. Or no, I want to rephrase it. Especially at the medic level, EMTA or paramedic. You've been with one company for 20 years. That's highly unusual, and kudos. And I'd love to know what that company is, because I need to talk to them. And if you go Grady, then I need to talk to you, because I've seen Grady change. I mean, I've only been in the industry 20 years, and I've seen Grady change a lot over that time. So I'd want to know, well, what is it about here that's kept you here? Because from the outside, these are the problems I see. What's going on the inside? And that's the thing. We got to talk to each other. We got to listen to each other. I know right now is the day after election day, and the country is still virtually, almost, almost literally at 50-50. And that means we've got to stop yelling and fighting at each other and start talking to each other so we can come to an agreement. Because if you're at 50-50 split, that's how divorces happen. That's how divorces happen. Is my side and your side are equal and we're just fighting. Then why are we here anymore? Right? And that's what we need in EMS is I know I personally want to hear your stories. I want to talk to you, find out why if you're a 20-year medic at Grady and you've been there most of your career, why? Enlighten me. Show me a different way from what I see. Let's put the word out. And that's what I do here. I put the word out. Just try to get you to talk. Just try to get you to think. Just try to get a different mindset going on. And that's something I was talking about recently is if I like a place that I work, how do I recruit for that place? How do I make that place better? How do I help you be awesome? And so we definitely need asses and seats over at Trinity EMS. And we need good people, though. Honestly, I'm personally not interested in having somebody who's just chasing a dollar. I'm interested in somebody who wants to do a better job, who wants to lead with their heart, care about the patient. They need to be free. I want to work in a place that the company cares about the employees and takes care of them so that they can be free to care about the patients. Because it's a cycle. Without the patients, we don't get paid. If we don't get paid, I can't pay you. And if you don't get paid, you don't show up. And if you're worried about not getting paid, you're not doing a great job, which is not caring for the patients, which cycles back around, right? So what can we offer at Trinity that's different? And right now I don't have an answer to that because I'm not in that position. I might be at some point, but right now I'm not officially in that position. But I still think about these things. I don't care. I don't care if I have management on my title. I'm going to come up with ideas to see how I can make things better. If you like them, you like them. You don't, you don't. I'm not in a position to execute them. It's fine. Fine. But how can we compete? Because I'm not going to compete with, I mean, the basic. Let me do the calculator here. So let's say a paramedic with some basic years of experience is making on average $20 an hour, right? Let's just say that. Okay. Well, time and a half is $30 an hour. Well, duh. I should have been able to do that math without the calculator. Now I feel stupid. But time and a half is $30 an hour. What transport company can really compete with $30 an hour and not get somebody who's just chasing the dollar? Because be honest with yourself. I'll be honest with myself. If I'm making $20 an hour, busting my butt running 911, and I'm just doing it for the pay, because we know we saw it happen when Walton County did a pay study and increased all their pay significantly. We saw an exodus from a lot of other companies trying to get into Walton. and they can't now. And it's full. And it's going to be one of those places. Now, the only way Walton can keep it good and keep it full is it can't be just about the money. Okay, we got the money, got you here, but here's what we expect. We're a high level. I don't know. I'm saying this is what they need. We're a high level service. We expect this of our employees. We give this to our employees. We meet you, not in the middle. We both give 100%. And I want people who've worked for me know. People who've worked with me, worked for me know I'm a 100% kind of guy. I'm going to give you 100% of what you need to be happy as best I can. And if we can't get that 100%, then you're not going to be here, and I get that. But I expect you to give 100% back to me. And I'm hiring you for you, not for your numbers. That's something we need to change in this industry. How? I don't know yet. These are questions in my mind. These are observations. And I get bringing an observation or a question to the table without a solution in business gets you fired. But that's not my job. My job is to get to thinking and to help get other people to help answer this question. My job is a talking head to entertain you and let's discuss things and share my opinion. That's what I do here. So yeah, I don't know how. But if I can get an employee to come and go be fulfilled in their job, to say what's important to my company. And this is Charles McFall EMS. This is how I'd run things. What's important to my company is we take care of the patients. You take care of that patients and the hospitals, our clients. It's not just patients, it's clients. And that's something we have to change in our mentality in EMS. It's not just patients, it's clients. It's not just, why'd you call 911? Your toes hurt. No, that's a client. That is somebody. Well, you're making EMS about the money. Look, moron. Sorry to get a little angry. Sorry to get a little aggressive. But I've dealt with this for 20 some odd years in the field, and I hate it when somebody's like, well, I'm not about the money. Bullshit, you aren't. Okay? If you're not about the money, come work for minimum wage. Serve your community. Serve your community as a paramedic. Come get on this truck for minimum wage. You won't. You won't. You won't. So don't lie to me and lie to yourself so you're not about the money. How many times have you uttered the phrase? Be honest with yourself. How many times have you uttered the phrase, I don't get paid enough for this? I've heard it a ton in my career. I've uttered it a couple of times. I've learned in myself, once I start thinking that way, once I start thinking I don't get paid enough for this, I need to leave. I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, and something bad's going to happen. Because I learned how to make my deals. I've made less than a lot of people in the jobs I've worked in. I don't mind telling you, when Tom hired me to work at the school full time, it's $10 an hour. And I know, you know why I don't mind telling you? Because I asked for that. I didn't ask for that rate, but he put out for basically a personal assistant, somebody to clean up the office, do the basic stuff that he needed help with. Something that's not glorious, it's not fantastic, and it's not a career, but it's something he needed help with. And when he put that out, I approached him and said, "Hey, I can do that. I can do all that." He goes, "But dude, no. You're worth more than that. It's only $10 an hour." Well, I don't care because I know how to put my money together. I can always make my money. I can always get paid. I'm looking to get my worth out of it. And if I bring worth to you, you need to pay me more or give me more value. And Tom's always giving me value. I wouldn't be sitting here on this microphone today telling you the stories I can tell you without him, to be honest. I wouldn't be able to work part time on an ambulance company that I'm starting to really believe in and see how they treat patients and see you want to do it more like Charles McFall EMS without Tom. So I invested in Tom. He invested in me. That's how this should go. Well, that's easy to say on a small scale. You're right. It is easier to say on a small scale. When you're running one truck, two trucks, three trucks, and that's all you got to fill, and you're a small mom and pop ambulance company. That is a whole lot easier to say. When, I invest in you, you invest in me. Then when you're a national EMS and you've got what, four counties? Four counties they do 911 with, which we know 911 is not the greatest moneymaker in the world. We know it's like a 40% national standard reimbursement across the board for 911 calls, right? So we know when they come and save that life and run up a huge bill on cardiac drugs and manpower and everything that goes into being ready and being there to do that cardiac arrest, and they get that patient back, that insurance might pay better than 40%, but on average will only pay 40% of what that call costs. So now National has 4 counties that I know of. All the employees that have to go with it, all the overhead that has to go with it, and only getting 40% back. So investing in you and you investing in me is a much harder conversation to have on a company that size than I can sit here in my comfy studio going, y'all don't like me on this show. I don't get paid for this show. Okay, I'll go get on Grubhub and deliver food. I don't care. I'll go hustle this. I'll go hustle that. It's just a lot easier. I get that. But I also think it's a conversation we can have at any and every level. How do we, GMR, Global Medical Response, is the parent company of AMR, American Medical Response, right? As well as other companies, obviously. So how we take it from a global question of how do we invest in, I mean, you want to talk about spread out. A company called Global Medical Response is spread out, right? But you bring it down and you empower people the best you can. It's about the heart, it's about the leadership, it's about where you want to go and how you want to get there. So I bring the conversation right back down to how much you're making per hour and how much you're envisioning for the future and how much of your soul is it taking. The number I heard from Grady, don't know if it's true. I'm just using this as an example. The number I heard from Grady was a $7,000 sign on bonus if you stay for a year. My understanding at Grady is everybody's shorthanded, and Grady has a large call volume. They have 2 freaking counties now, right? At least. I know they have more than that, but touching each other. They have Fulton and South Fulton that they're running. And to my understanding, and from the outside looking in, they run the dog snot out of you because we got to run these calls. We have to run these calls. We all got in this business ultimately. Yeah, I fell into it, but my heart was there. My soul was there. And I was like, no, if I show up to run these calls, we got to run these calls. And it took me a while in my career to actually get to a place that said, well, sometimes we shut down trucks. Like, what? Excuse me? What? That's what? You just told me aliens landed. I don't understand this concept of shutting down trucks. You only have 2 trucks. Why would you shut one down? Well, we don't have the people to run it. I'll run it. I mean, I made a huge difference one day. I changed how a service worked by simply saying, screw that noise. I live here. I'll work extra hours. I'll make this happen to where I can show up. I can work. I can go home for this period of time, sleep, come back, fill in this spot because somebody can't fill in that spot. I'll make it happen. And over a period of about 4 days, I changed how that entire county worked for a while. They may have reverted back. I don't know. But I can guarantee you, I promise you, for the year and a half more that I worked there after that moment, there was not another truck shut down. So I stepped up and went, this is bullshit. I live here. My family's here. We're not shutting a truck down. We're to find people who step up. Smaller company, smaller area, easier conversation, sure. But it's a conversation you have to have. So as you're planning your career, I burned myself out working at National. Not because of National, but because of me. This guy right here. Hear me clearly, I burned myself out because I'd worked my 24-hour shift, but I needed more money. I was not great with my money. I wasn't managing my money very well. I wasn't getting paid a lot. So I could have made choices. Let's talk about the choices I could have made in my career at that time. I could have gone to a DeKalb Fire, a Henry County. I could have gone to Jasper County. I could have gone to Newton County. It's okay. I'm gonna work 24 on, 48 off for Conyers or for National because that is my number one job. But I'll give you 12 hours and come work for you, or I'll give you once or twice a month, give you another 24 hours, go work a different job, and they would have paid more, right? Because ultimately, think about it this way. And I apologize to all the companies like, stop taking away our overtime workers. I don't care about your overtime workers. I'm not trying to hurt you, but I don't care about your overtime workers. I care about the health and the heart of who we are as people. So if you work a second job for the same pay, well, I'm making, let's keep it simple math, $20 an hour here, and I'm make $20 an hour here. But I can make more money if I just work overtime. I'm making $36 an hour, $30 an hour is what the math was, right on time and a half. I'm making $30 an hour, and that's more. Is it though? Is it more? Because if you work 2 separate jobs For the same amount of pay, you're doubling your pay. Not time and a half, you're doubling your pay. Right? Now, that's not easiest math, right? It's not exactly true because it depends on how much you work overtime and this, that, and the other. But depending on how much you work overtime and you sit down, I guarantee you, if somebody wants to hit me up and say, here's some real numbers, work the math, I'll work the math. And I'll come back and say, hey, sorry, I was wrong. You don't double your money. Or I'll come back and say, no, see, here's where I'm right. Or here's somewhere in between. Because the math on time and a half versus going to a different job is how often can you do that without killing yourself? Now, I don't mean literally, although that is always a potential dark end to our career. How much money is enough money, right? So if you, but so money being equal. Well, I listed off 2 911 things. I could have done that. I could have gone to 2 911s. There wasn't a whole lot of non-emergency. I could have looked up more non-emergency. I didn't. I could look for other options. I could have gotten a job working full-time EMS, part-time Best Buy, part-time Walmart, part-time McDonald's. Fill in the blank. I know a lot of firefighters who worked their full-time job as firefighters, and then on their days off, they did construction or some other thing with their hands that they love doing. They ran their own little company. I say little. That's not diminutive. I'm not trying to put down a company, but they ran their companies. I do. I know a lot of EMS and firefighters who were landscapers, basically on the side, and so they'd work their 24 hours on, serve their community, make their money, which is not always great money, and then they'd go work cutting grass and those kind of things and doing their side hustle and loved it. Because honestly, that's what I'm getting to is your side hustle needs to not be your same as your primary hustle, right? If you can go to a place where you know the timing on it, the your responsibilities, and that's something you may or may not realize is weighing on you is your responsibility at your level you carry on your shoulders. And I actually told this story today. You go somewhere else where it's not the same, you'll feel it. And when I left 911 truck at Newton and went into the ER, paramedic, still doing the same skills, still doing the same brain power of here's how I figure things out, but zero responsibility. And my hours were just different. They weren't necessarily better. They were just different. It was really going into another situation where I went, I don't have to worry about somebody suing me or me doing something wrong or everybody thinking me on my shoulder because if I have any questions, the doctor's right there. If I need any help, I've got a whole team of people surrounding me. I'm low man on the totem pole as a paramedic. I just need to triage and talk to patients and treat them like I want to treat them. That that let me breathe. And that's something that I have to say about working overtime. Is when overtime goes away, there's no loyalty in overtime. There isn't because there can't be. A company can't work on overtime all the time. A company's goal should always be to just have you work regular hours. Now, I'm not talking about the 24/48s, where if that's your game plan, you work 24 hours on, 24 hours on, 48 hours off. Well, there's built-in overtime there. I'm talking about when we say overtime in EMS, we mean extra shifts. That's what we mean, right? You know, um, extending your shift out to do 36 or staying on, those kind of things. And smart paramedics or smart medics, people did what I talked about earlier. You work a busy service that you love and it's your career. It's satisfying you in your career. That's great. And then you go work some sleepy station somewhere, Jasper County, which may be picking up. I don't know. But when I was there, we might not turn a wheel at one of the stations all day for 48 hours. That actually happened to me. You work at Morgan County, which when I was there, the call volume was fairly low. But here, it's actually picking up. But they're sleepier stations. But here's the thing: you still have to go be prepared to work. You still have to go be prepared to bring your top level service to those clients because patients are clients. Because without them and their insurance paying or them paying the bill directly, which does happen sometimes, we don't get paid. The hospitals are our clients because without them, if you're in a company that does transports out of the hospital, without them we don't get paid. That means you don't get paid. Everybody we service is our client. Do we want every client? No. Are there some patients out there that I've shut down and been ugly to? Absolutely. But I go in every call now. Let me be clear about now. I go within every situation now. How can we do better? How can we help you be awesome? How can we do this? Understanding that this call is just this call, notwithstanding the trauma calls that you might carry with you. That's a whole nother conversation. The okay, here's one specific example. I remember getting called at like 10, 11 p.m. at night, maybe 1 a.m. It was around midnight, but not too much before or after, right? So let's call it midnight for sake of argument. Get called at midnight for stomach pains. All right, we go over there, we go to these apartments, and or sick to the stomach or something, because stomach pain could be AAA, right? It could be all kind of bad stuff. But whatever, the Rockdale dispatch figured it out. It just came out as a priority one, priority three response, just ambulance only, stomach pains. And we get there, and the guy's on the curb with a pre-packed suitcase and a glass of wine. Said, yeah, I want to go up here to the hospital. And they wanted to go right up to Rockdale, which is 5 minutes away. A taxi ride would have been cheaper. I literally don't know why they called us. And I was pissed. I was pissed off. And you might be sitting there going, hell yeah, brother, I was pissed off too. That's dumb. They shouldn't call 911. Well, that's a whole other conversation about educating the public and revamping the system, because the system is vamped, right? The system is very not great right now. It's all been duct taped together as we've grown over 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? Keep in mind, 911's only been around since like the 90s. Ambulances have been around since the 60s and 70s, but 911, and actually World War II, we see the ambulances in the military, those kind of things, blah, 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 blah. But EMS, as we know it, has been around since roughly the 60s. 911 has been around since the 90s. Okay, you could argue late 80s, depending on your area. I know for a fact, late 90s is when Oglethorpe County in Georgia got a 911 system. There's still some counties in Georgia that do not have it, to my knowledge. My point is, people call 911. That's a whole nother conversation. We are responsible for how we respond and how we view life and what we see. And all I had to do on that call was go in and go, okay, well, you're not bringing the wine with me. Here's your suitcase. Come on, get in the truck. Let's do the paperwork real quick. Get you on up to the hospital. Done. Doesn't really affect me? No, it doesn't really affect me. My choices affect me. That patient didn't affect me. Did I affect him? I don't know. I was a little bit of an asshole to him, so it could have made him worse for the next crew. I treated him kind of poorly, so it could have made it worse on the hospital, because it gave him a bad attitude. Who knows how negatively I affected? If I just said, yeah, sure, come on. I don't know his name, so John Smith is a great generic name. Come on, John. Come on, get in my truck. Let's go on up to the hospital. Let's get this done. Blood pressure, pulse, lung sounds, we're all good. Vital signs good. All right, let's do. And now, of course, it's the touch on the screen, right? But then it's paper. I could have written it out, done. Nope. I had to let it piss me off. I carried that anger with me for the rest of the shift. I probably carried it actually for a lot longer than that. Let it affect my bit. And that's me. That's my choice. So we have to, these are mindsets we can do. I told you this is going to be a grab bag. I was going to be all over the place today with this stuff. But here's what I want to get back to. It's not always about pay. It's about satisfaction. Are you satisfied in your job? Because I believe most everybody got into our field, our industry, the industry of EMS, the industry of helping others, because we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to help. Are you making a difference at 911? Absolutely. But you need to, in my opinion, you need to find your side hustle, your extra money needs to be very limited in the overtime that you do in one company. Why? Because the frustrations you have on a day-to-day basis do not go away when you're working overtime. They just don't. They add up. They build. 2, overtime goes away. There was a time when there was a company that helped me out and I helped them out. Worked all this overtime, did this. They had their own dispatch. So if somebody got hurt, they tried to make a space for them in dispatch so they could keep working, not go on disability. Value for value. Then I got hurt. And dispatch wasn't available. They're full. They said sorry. They meant sorry. They meant it. They wanted to help me out. And they couldn't because it wasn't there. There's a time when I needed extra money and the overtime wasn't there. There's a time when I tried to solve a company's problems all by myself and work all this overtime, and they wanted me to work more overtime. I'm like, no, it's going to put me in the tax bracket. It's going to mess me up. I won't get money. No, it won't. It won't work that way. It's like, fine, I'll help you. And then it did work exactly the way I thought. So you need to learn to say no sometimes, because Ultimately, a company is there to what's best for the company, and you are there for what's best for you. Okay. I'm all for people who do EMS for their main job, and their side hustle is something 100% different. I work at this church. Here's my example. I work at a church doing audiovisual broadcasts like this. I make this broadcast for them, right? I run that, and that's a whole different thing than EMS, right? Um, if I'm a paramedic on a truck, 911 truck, I feel like it is my duty, it is my drive to do everything I can on that level. I am responsible for everything from the people who are technically underneath me, right? I say technically because I never think I'm better than anybody else. Well, okay, that's not true. I think I'm better than a lot of people. But on a professional level, just because you're an EMT and I'm a medic, or you're an advanced, I'm a medic, or I'm an advanced and you're an EMT, I don't think I'm better than you because of that. It's just a technicality of my skill level is I'm responsible because I have the higher skill level. I carry that. I also have I believe I have the high responsibility for a company I believe in to help instill those values of that company those values that I hold dear into the people I work with. So that's another level of stress. I care. I care comes with I stress a little bit, right? I personally need to take time from my job that I care about, that I stress about, but I need extra money or I want a little bit of extra hustle. I want I want to buy my kids 5,000 Xboxes for Christmas. Don't judge me. I can buy as many Xboxes as I want. Yeah. But I need the money for that. Do I work overtime? It depends on the situation. Or do I find something different either outside the industry or even in the industry? You can work on movie sets. I got a company right now that's hurting for people. Email me, Charles at GAI. I'm going to put it back out. I'm wrapping this up now. Charles at GAIEMS.com and say, hey, what was that movie company you talked about that needed help? Because it's not the union. Because there's the union. You can get into the union. You can work movie sets. You can do all that stuff as a medic. That's a different process. I do have a contact for that if that's something you're interested in. But no, I mean, you PRN. I've got a company called S&J Contact Tracing that I work with, and you literally go out to the movie set when you're available, when you've put in time, just like any other EMS service. You put in time, and they give you the time, or they call you when you haven't put in time, say, hey, can you work these days? And if you can, you say yes, and you show up and you put on your PPE, which is way too much for what we do, but it's okay. Gloves, a mask, and a shield, and you sit. Well, I've got a pretty good reach, so 4 feet away from a person, and bloop. Have you traveled outside the country? Have you done this? Have you done that? Okay, cool. Thanks. Here's your band, and bloop being the temperature. You take their temperature with a temperature temple gun. You take the temperature, hand them the wristband, and it's good money. It's easy money. You might have to stand for 4 hours, but it's fairly easy money. You might meet a celebrity or two. I have, if you're into that kind of thing. But it's an easy job, and then you can plan the rest of your day around it. If you want to do that, let me know. Charles at GIEMS.com. You can earn extra money right now at Georgia Institute of EMS. We always need hands on deck. Because we have to still do hands on training, right? We still do the test. Last Wednesday, I did a fairly decent psychomotor test where we needed people to be the proctors in the stations, right? We need people to help teach. You do not have to have a teaching license to help teach. You can come make an okay amount of money. If you're a medic, it's going to be less than what you make as a medic if you don't have a teaching license, because we have to have a licensed instructor there, but we need people who can really share their passion for the industry, share their story, shape the future of the industry, and come and teach skills. Aren't you tired of having somebody come out of school and get on your truck and they're a licensed EMT and they don't know how to do a backboard, or they don't have the basic skills, or they're scared of life? Come change that. Georgia Institute of EMS, there's your part-time hustle, right? That's in the field. So is the contact tracing. That's in the field. You need to be in an EMT, a licensed EMT, to do that, but you get paid good money. Email me. I'll give you the contact information if you want that. Trinity EMS out of Walton County. I like that. Here's what I love about that. Here's what I love about doing dialysis is I don't have to think about it too much, right? Because we always think about it. I'm preaching that. We always think about it. You come and bring your ability to work to the table, right? We're We're not that station. I've always hated those people. Well, I'm from Henry County. I'm just here to sleep. Not only Henry County is from that. That's a very specific one person story that I'm telling. But I ran him off. I'm like, get the F out. I don't care. I'm a medic. You're a medic. You come here to run calls. Now, granted, I get you came to our station because we might run one or two calls in a shift, maybe. So I get that. But you're still going to make sure you do your best job. You're going to show up on time. You're going to wash the truck. You're going to make sure you have your gear. You're going to do the bare minimums of what it means to be a good medic if you're around me, period. And if you're not, you're not going to last here very long. But if you do that, if you know that you're getting off a 24-hour shift and it's been a long shift, and you know that I'm going to come in here and I might have to do a few dialysis patients, right? But I know they need help too. That these people literally go to this place 3 times a week to be hooked up to a machine that takes fluid out of them, puts fluid in, and it's not a pleasant experience. And they have to rely on you for a ride to and from. They have to do this 3 times a week. You're going to get to know these people. You're going to get to help these people. We're hiring. We're hiring EMTs out of school, advanced EMTs out of school, paramedics out of school, or if you've got 20 years experience under your belt, we're hiring. Email me, Charles at GAIMS. I'll just make that the one hub. I'll tell you whatever job advice you want. You know, there's newsletters. I think everybody in the state, once you're registered with the state, you can get a letter from your DPH that says, "Hey, Cobb County is doing Clayton County is doing a big hiring push. Hey, AMR is doing a big hiring push. Hey, this director, this school is looking for instructors at this level. Here's the requirement. You know, there's ways around this stuff. Um, you can stay in the field and work without stressing yourself out. And that's really what I wanted, really what's been on my mind lately for myself, because my wife is the same way. My wife is telling me, my love, my passion is this right here. I have my own company that does convention moderation, which means I sit at the table with celebrities and ask them questions and get to do this all day long. And I love it. That's my dream, but that's a rock to push up the hill, especially in the COVID world, right? Theconmods.com. If that's something you're interested in, we do corporate events. We do celebrities. We do conventions like Dragon Con. We'll do whatever you need, baby. We got you. And you know I'm good at what I do. And I can always tailor it to what you need. You know, I've got the broadcast. Anyway, I should stop putting my resume. I need to get back to finishing the show up. But that's my point, is my passion is not to be a career medic, to not be a career instructor, to not be somebody who owns an ambulance company and runs that. That's never my goal. My goal is to be paid to talk for a living. Now, instructing lets me do that to a point, right? Working on the ambulance lets me do that to a point. But ultimately, I do want to travel the world to different conventions and just be the center of attention or right next to the center of attention. That's me. So that means I need to make sure I'm not getting on a 911 truck that needs me all the time, because I'm going to meet a need. That's kind of who I am. I've gone part time with the school because of that passion, because of going, no, I know that if I stay with the school, I keep meeting the needs of the school because that's who I am. And I need to make sure that for myself to be true, that I'm actually, if you're a passionate house builder, if you're a passionate firefighter, so EMS is your side thing, focus on what you're passionate about and make your path. And just because you focus on what you're passionate about doesn't mean you get rid of anything else. You can make it work your way. So yeah. And hey, if you're hearing this and you know people are just getting out of school, we know EMTs have a hard time getting into 911. Trinity EMS, we're not running 911 yet. We might be doing some backup soon, maybe. But what we are doing is investing in the people who invest in us. You come out of school and you want to give us time, you want to work with us, we will help you. We will help pad your resume, right? Because having work on your resume is a very big thing. I will help you study no matter what school you went to. I'll be happy to answer your questions and help you there. I can do that. And we'll help you get your bills paid. I can't guarantee we're going to pay your bills. We'll help you get your bills paid as best we can while you're going through school to advanced, or while you're looking for your EMT, your 911 job. I mean, I know places like Walton County, it takes a while to get on, not only because it's hard because people don't leave, But there's a process. Gwinnett Fire, DeKalb Fire, Clayton County, all these people is a process of interviews, and then training, and then this other stuff. Yeah, we got you, baby. We got you. And for those of you who still want to make a difference, but you don't feel like you're cared about, when you're around me, that is my passion. I want to make sure you understand that you're cared about and free you up to make sure that you can do what you love, which is hopefully taking care of patients. Because if you love just getting paid because you're special as a medic, I don't need you. I'm sorry. I need people who care about the patients, who are the advocates for the patients, who want to make sure and understand that keeping the hospital happy is just as important as answering that call. They go hand in hand. Come talk to me. You want some career advice? Charles at giims.com. I'll tailor it right to you. I love listening. I love talking. I love helping. I need to shut up because I love talking way too much. I got to get out of here. So facebook.com/Georgia Institute of EMS is where the main live show is recorded. And I'm going to do it when I can. It's been Wednesdays at 4. Today is Wednesday, but it was at like 2:30. And I'm about to get up because I got to take my kid to wrestling practice. And I got to get ready to go do an orientation tonight. YouTube.com is where it'll live underneath. I got to get that banner off. I'm pretty sure it's youtube.com/Georgia Institute of EMS. So look up Georgia Institute of EMS on YouTube, and these videos live there. So it's easier to find them after the fact there. Anchor.fm/EMS Underground, or just look up EMS Underground on your podcatcher for the audio only version for this. You can go back and listen to it. You can share it. It's easy. It's easy to get the word out to share it. You've got questions for the show, Charles at GAIEMS.com. I've had people send me stuff about why is Grady doing this, so I've done some research. We've had people talk about their family members that they felt the fire/EMS did wrong by them. We looked into it. You want to challenge me on why I wear a mask or this and that and the other? You want to talk about anything, just hit me up. Hit me up with the topic, Charles at GAIEMS. I love talking about things. And if you're a volunteer firefighter, facebook.com/VFFGA, VFF Volunteer Firefighters Georgia, right? Go check out that Facebook page. It's slowly building. I'm helping out with that. I'm not a firefighter. I'm not a volunteer firefighter, but I believe in my buddy Douglas, and he believes in volunteer fire. And I'm helping him build that page out. You want to help with that? Do that. Let's do that. So, with all that being said, let me get this other piece of music going up so I can make my editing a little bit easier. Be true to you. Understand that loyalty to a company is a good thing when they show loyalty back, but we got to be true to ourselves because ultimately a company has to do what's best for them, and that might not always be what's best for you. Take care of yourself, plan for your retirement, and care about who you are and what you do. And hopefully I'll see you again next week. I will.